So in the comments, someone very cleverly suggested that as there are lots of new subscribers, I should give a quick rundown of what this is all about. Because before you go back and start at the beginning, it seems to make sense just to give you a quick overview if you're new here. So if you're new here, welcome. Thank you very much for watching. I'm a middle-aged, middle-class Englishman who lives in Austria. And just before the COVID lockdown started, we bought this amazing columned, very old house in North Tuscany, about half an hour from La Spezia and the Cinque Terre. The house has been empty since 1992, and this is my midlife crisis. So I'm trying to do it all up myself on a shoestring budget because couldn't really afford to buy a house and then have other companies doing it. And these are my adventures of learning how to do things because I'm not a builder. I work in a web online e-commerce company. So this is all very much a learning curve, but it's great fun. And alongside the actual building and what it is that I'm messing up at the moment, I'll show you where I go for lunch, where I go for drinks, what I buy food, and all the other great reasons to live in this area of the world. So that's a quick sort of recap. Let me know in the comments if you think I've missed something very important. But for now, thank you very much, and let's get on with today's episode. So good morning, it's Sunday. In fact, in Italy and in Austria it's Mother's Day today, so if you're a mother, happy Mother's Day. Sun is shining, everything is wonderful. I had a couple of limoncellos last night which were homemade by the husband of the woman who runs the cooperativa. They're very, very good, very tempting and extremely strong. So I'm feeling a little bit of that. Hang on, quad going past again. But on the whole, feeling fresh and happy and motivated. So the plaster's pretty much dried now. The next step is going to be building the frame, and we'll just pick up where we left off yesterday. So floor, and then ceiling, and then the verticals in between them. Oh, look, that little fella's been making noise half the night. Okay, so I'm going to go and get my tools set up and get going. Just quickly, I'm sorry the video didn't go up last night. Once I got home after that delicious dinner, I sat down on the sofa with the laptop and started editing the video and fell asleep. So it's on its way up right now, and I think in about an hour you should be able to watch it. Okay, so we're going to start with the floor, the ceiling, and then two uprights and build one square. As you can see, we're right up against the wall at the top, and we're 2.5 inches away from the wall at the bottom. Touch that with my other hand. It's there that we are almost perfectly vertical, so just shift that in half a millimetre or two, and then we can mark up. Okay, well, I've drilled my first 3 holes, because that's enough to give me a good straight line. And then I pulled it back up, because now we need to put this underneath. So this isolates the metal from the floor and will reduce noise and keep the wall away, stop it cracking if there's slight movement in the floor. So we've got to stick this down, and then we can put some raw plugs through and screw down the bottom rail. We're going to have to trim it at the end there, so everything's set up nicely. They do go into each other, so the front side is is overlapping. That'll keep our straight edge going and we should be perfect. So there we go, that's clean and tidy. It's not a huge amount of space that we're losing, but again, you can see just how curvy walls are in this house. Move this out of the way. So that's fixed down. Now we need to get it straight, and it'll obviously just screw onto the wood, straight into the wood there. That should be fine. There we have it. The top is in. It's time to do the verticals, so left and right first. And then, for some unknown reason, plasterboard isn't uniformly sized everywhere in Europe. So the boards are 120 centimeters wide in France and in Italy, but they're 125 centimeters wide in Germany and in Austria. And someone asked the other day on one of the comments, I think it was on Instagram actually, why I buy the stuff in Austria and bring it down. Is it cheaper? Well, no, it's not cheaper, but I'm only down here for a very limited amount of time. And the nearest big DIY store is Bricoman, and that's in Parma. So that's like pretty much an hour's drive from here to there. And then, you know, a couple of hours in the store picking up stuff, and then an hour back. So what I normally do is I do like a click and collect at my local place in Innsbruck a couple of days before I'm going to come out, and I just have everything loaded up in the van, and then when I get here I can just unload it and use it. Because for things like that I'd be using big chain stores, I'm not too concerned about the impact on the local economy, because I think they're all, you know, pretty much of a muchness. So that's the reason for that. Well, what that means is that I'm going to run 62.5 centimeters between middle to middle to the for the verticals, for the uprights, and I'm going to put all of those in now on the back wall, and then we're going to start building the shower wall out and the door frame and the front wall. Here's our first upright in the corner. You can see that wall isn't very straight either. Sort of goes up there and down there, it's touching. But that is now, I get it on perfectly vertical. And all we then have to do, as you'll probably remember from the other room, is take this clever pair of pliers, pop it over the joint, and squeeze. And that punches a hole which holds the two together. Obviously, it gets its final rigidity once we put the plasterboard on and screw it everywhere. So I'm going to just make the holes at the top and the bottom with my pliers, and then do the same thing on the other side. And then we'll measure and mark so that the boards fit in and make sense. And there we go. So that's going to be our first back wall. I put in an additional one here, which I haven't fixed yet because I'm going to probably want to get into this one as well for now. But that's because obviously there's going to be a wall coming out here for the door, so we'd have nowhere to screw our plasterboard in. We're probably going to put a wooden board across here somewhere for the sink to screw to, because that'll reinforce that. So all in, that is now a dead straight wall, which is what you need if you're going to tile or do something like that, which we'll have to do for the shower. So now we can measure up and start building the parallel wall. Okay, well, time for a quick lunch break. The weather is fabulous. I should be eating al fresco. I've made myself a tabbouleh, not traditionally Italian, but I used to eat lots of this when I lived in France. It's tomatoes, onions, lemon juice, olive oil, some mint, and it's very, very good. Very light, but still quite filling. You know, the couscous absorbs all of the liquids from the tomatoes and the oil. So delicious. And once I've had that, we'll get back on with it and build part 2. Okay, so it's time to start marking up this wall here. And that wall needs to be 90 centimeters away from the other wall, perfectly parallel to it, so 90 centimeters at right angle, plus the width of the plasterboard. So our shower tray is going to be 90 by 90, that's why we're, or 90 by 80 in fact, is what I measured in there, which is the same size as in the other bedroom, which is actually a very nice size to have a shower in. Plasterboard is generally 13 millimeters thick, so that would be 2.6 centimeters. I'm going to say 3 centimeters, and we're going to measure out 93 centimeters from there, draw a parallel line, and that will be our inside edge of the wall. We've got everything marked up there, that's 90 degrees, so everything's nice and square. Down here, this is the wall for the shower, that's where the shower tray will start. So same procedure, some foam underneath the rail, screw it down, drill screw it down, then measure out so that we can extend it to exactly the right length. So the shower tray will be 80, we'll give it the width of the plasterboard, so I'm guessing about 82, 83. There's not actually much missing, these are 2 meters long. 220 would have done perfectly. Okay, so there we go, that's fixed to the floor. And that's going to be the same procedure as on the other side. We're going to run 2 verticals up to the ceiling and then screw across here to where we stop there. Then fix across, because we will be having a suspended ceiling in there so that we can get the air vents with the little fans sucking the air out and blowing that up out of the roof. So yeah, so it's not gone massively badly so far. So those are in and they're dead straight in both directions. So now we've built our little room. It's very, very close to what we marked out on the floor. But you can certainly, I don't know that well on camera, but I can certainly get a much better feel for it. And there's still plenty of room in this room. And in fact, it's really quite nice. But we might be able to, because I'm still thinking about this sink, we might get the sink, get away with the sink if it's not very deep here next to the shower. So up against that wall there with a mirror, and then the shower here up to that black line there. So now it's, you know, these are fixed. It's a case of filling in all of the blanks. So we've got the verticals that need to go in there, Then we've got the one middle wall. We won't build the other one yet until we've bought the toilet, so that we don't waste any space. Then the lintel over the doorway, the left and right verticals for the door, the filler for above the door, the filler here for above. In fact, that wasn't very clever of me. I could have actually extended that all the way across to the other wall. That would have made my life easier. Maybe I'll patch it together, it'll work, should be fine. So we've got the entrance to the shower as well. Then we've got I'm holding this sort of at eye level now. We're at about, I guess in 194, so that's about 180-ish. We'll have the entrance to the shower at about that, so the opening at about 220-ish maybe. And the ceiling, I want to keep 15 centimeters of fake ceiling airspace between the lowest point on the beams, so that I can run a vent from above the loo across, and a vent from above the somewhere in the shower room, maybe not directly above the shower, but somewhere here, across and into the corner and out of the roof. So there's all of those fill-ins. Now, I don't have that much metalwork left, so we'll have to see how we get on. But basically I'm going to go as far as I can and then tidy up. And that will have been pretty much the weekend. So it's just a matter of getting on with it. But now that it's stood and I can see the space that it's taken away from the room, I'm really not at all disappointed. Sometimes difficult to get things done on a Sunday with the sun shining and people popping by. So my great friend here in the village, Max, went up the mountain yesterday and got some parmesan, and he brought me 2 kilos of the stuff as a gift. This is 24-month-old, and this is apparently, and I'm not a great expert, but this is Parmigiano di Montagna, so it's made at over, if my memory serves me correctly, 750 meters of altitude is the minimum. It's stamped up, obviously. Parmigiano comes from Emilia-Romagna, which is just literally a couple of kilometers up the road. So this is excellent local food. And I look forward to eating it and spreading it all over my food. Okay, so we're definitely getting there, bit by bit. With the spacing, we're going to have to actually plasterboard these walls first, and then plasterboard the middle, so that it all sort of fits together, because here we have the spaces for 4 sheets of plasterboard, and it makes no sense structurally to stop that in the middle. So I'm going to have to wait for that. So I'm thinking above here, we've got some offcuts, that'll probably be about the right height, that should look perfect. And I'm wondering whether I should start the lowered ceiling, which I might well do. We'll have a look in a second. Okay guys, well, I'm going to leave it there. I do still have some metal work, but everything now needs to fit together. And I'm going to do the fake ceiling, but I'm going to buy some longer metal pieces for that, because it's just annoying to put them together, and I don't have any ceiling pieces. I need ceiling pieces for here. So everything now needs to go in a certain order, but what I've done so far, I'm very, very happy with. I think it looks great, and it's going to look great. A sort of continuation as you come into the room. Gets a little bit wider, but we stop almost opposite the window, so it does fit together really nicely. I'm going to get my tape measure out. I'm going to calculate exactly how much plasterboard I need, how much more metal framework I need, everything basically that I'm going to need to keep going on this, toilet, so on and so forth, shower tray, water pipes, see what's still here, what I need to buy. And now, while I was doing this, I just had a sweep up and put everything in the corner. I've had the thought of option 2B. So option 2B would be the big wardrobe up against this wall here, sort of somewhere in the middle. And that leaves, now if you imagine that the bed is as wide as the wardrobe, and we could get the wardrobe easily in twice on that wall, that leaves plenty of space to have the bed come out. And the bed would stop, well, sort of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bed would stop almost here. So loads of room for the sink, which the more I think about it, the more I'd like to have in the room, with a nice big mirror above it, and a sort of a bowl sink stood on an oak shelf. I think that could look amazing. So yeah, the real question I have left is what to do about this window. Because normally the windows will be replaced under the 110% scheme, but we're still waiting for confirmation and for a start date on that. And I don't want everything to be backed up and I won't be able to plaster or anything until I fitted the window. So I'll have to be thinking about that. Anyway, there we go. So today, for a change, I thought I'd finish up this video downstairs on the other terrace. Still here, the wood's still here, still looks great. Over the winter, the rosemary has done very, very well. That's fabulous. Basil didn't do so well. The chilies seem to have dried themselves, so we might be able to cook with them. And parsley is coming back to life. Aloe vera, very, very dead. So tomorrow, I'm going to go shopping, tidy up Hoover so that we can come back down as a family. And then I'm going to go and get tested, and then I'm going to drive home. The Golf has its MOT on Tuesday, so that'll be exciting. Interesting to see what happens there. And talking to my better half, it looks like we'll probably be back here in a fortnight's time again. So up until then, small updates with the car, and if something happens on the Eco bonus. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much once again for watching, for following, for putting up with my midlife crisis and my stubbornness of asking everyone for their opinions and then doing what I had, in my stubborn little mind. But I think it looks nice, so I think once it's all done, we'll have another discussion, and then you can massacre me in the comments if you think it's terrible. But up until then, take care, stay safe, and if you enjoyed this, go back and watch the others, or like, subscribe, tell your friends. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.